All right, so I'm going to ask you guys to find a nice, comfortable seat and make sure your hips are propped up on something just so that your hips are higher than your knees. So that could be a block, a pillow, a rolled up blanket. Perfect. Great. Now let your hips sink down into what you're sitting on. Let your eyes close. And why don't you take those shoulders and roll them a couple times up and back until you allow the back of your shoulder blades to really sink down onto your ribs. Good. So we're going to bring both hands to the belly to start. And we're going to just start letting the breath deepen now. Long inhales through the nose into the belly. And let the exhales be nice and soft out of an open mouth, soft jaw. Just deepening the breath in the nose. Softening the whole body as you exhale through the mouth. And it can be nice mentally to start feeling that connection with baby here. Maybe you're at a point where you can feel baby moving, and maybe you're not. But either way, these nice deep breaths are having an effect on them as well.
Get over here.
Feeling the belly like a big balloon on the inhales. And those exhales, we just let go. Letting go of the breath. Letting go of whatever's on our mind. Softening our emotions. Good. Now we can bring the hands up to either side of the ribs. And we're going to invite the breath into the ribs now. So as we inhale, we open up the ribs like we're opening a big umbrella. And the exhales, we close those ribs. Maybe feeling just a gentle squeeze at the end of the exhale. Taking a nice, full, deep breaths. Softening as we let go. Feeling everything off of our mat just slip away as we focus on just being here now. Good. Just one more nice deep breath in the ribs. Beautiful. And now we can bring the hands up to the heart. And we're going to let the deep breaths come into the chest, opening the collarbone, filling up the lungs. And the exhales, we soften the shoulders, soften the upper back, enjoying every moment of that release before taking in another nice, refreshing breath. Continuing at your pace. And you may notice that as your belly grows and as the weeks progress, taking a deep breath may mean something different. It might be hard to get those really, really deep breaths in a while. But just appreciating what your body can do now. And knowing that every breath you're taking here with intention is creating more space in your body. And helping release those tight muscles on the exhale. Good. So we're going to take this into our full yoga breath. You can choose to either place a hand on the heart and a hand on baby, or you can bring both hands down to your thighs. Wherever you are, allow the breath now to really fill the belly and the low back, fill the ribs, fill the lungs, and all the way up to the collarbones, being as big as you can be. And then letting the exhales completely empty you. Completely letting go. Continuing at your pace. Maybe taking a moment to notice the pause at the top of the breath and the bottom of the breath. As we breathe in 4 parts, in, pause, out, pause. Noticing if your mind starts to wander, just allowing it to soften with your exhales. Good. One more full Dirga breath. Be as big as you can be. And fully emptying on the exhale. And then keeping eyes closed, you can bring hands down if they're not already. And just let the breath return to neutral. And notice here what a shift some deep breaths can make. There may be a lot going on right now. I mean, if we're all being honest, there is a lot going on right now. And taking some time to sit and breathe can really help relax your body, your mind, your emotions. And that helps relax your baby as well. And here you're welcome to set an intention for your practice today. Thinking of what you want to focus on the mat. And perhaps thinking of things you'd like to let go of as well. Great, so as you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. So we've been in this position for a while, so I'm gonna have you guys come off of what you're sitting on. Just shake your legs out for a sec. And then recross in the opposite direction, or if your hips are feeling tight, you can choose to sit on your knees instead with a block between, with a block underneath. So I'll actually do that here. Good. Great. So inhale, arms are going to rise, gaze rises. And exhale, we're just going to take a little twist to one side. Now follow your breath. As you inhale, you're going to come through center, arms rise, gaze rises. And exhale, twist. So keep going just side to side, gentle little twists here, starting to wake up the spine. Good. Next time arms are up, I want you to go ahead and clasp the palms and palms face up. Drop your hips down, so trying to lengthen in the low spine. And now pull up and back with the arms. Good. You can go ahead and look down. And now keeping that back nice and neutral, looking up. And if the front of your neck is tight, go ahead and close the mouth. We'll stretch that fascia, that connective tissue in the front of the neck. And now just move with your breath a few times here. So alternating down and up. Beautiful. Now releasing the hands down, we'll start to roll arms back one at a time. So see if your gaze can follow your thumb here. Getting some movement into the shoulders and the neck. Beautiful. Then we can just round those shoulders a little bit. If you're anything like me, you're hearing all sorts of crunchies going on now. Good, and one last little treat for the neck. Let's just go ahead and take some circles one side. And the other. Good. Finding a point of stillness, letting the head hang forward. Take a full breath. Head is nice and heavy. Now take a hand to the forehead, and on an inhale, use the hand to bring the head up. Ah, nice. Hand comes down. Great. So remove whatever you're sitting on. And we're going to let the feet come nice and wide. You can lean back into your hands for support. Now let's start to get into those hips. The good stuff, right? So I'm going to press into my hands, lengthening my spine. Nice inhale to lengthen. And as I exhale, knees drop to one side. We're just going to take this as a windshield wiper. So I'm going to inhale through center, windshield wiper to the other side. Good. Keep on going. Just follow your breath. You may find you're super tight on one side, and you may want to just hang out there and pulse a little, massage around what we call the greater trochanter, where your leg bone meets your hip. So just feel free to really take this time to tap into your body, figure out what you want, make those little micro adjustments so it feels good for you. Good. Awesome. Next time your knees are down, let them hang out down. And you can stay here if this feels like enough. Or if you want a little more, you can bring that inside foot on top of the inside knee, just really gently there. And that should probably fire up your hip a little bit more. We're going to take some nice deep breaths into that hip. Good. Next inhale, we'll take it to the other side. So releasing that foot, bringing knees up and over. And every side can be different. So this might feel like enough, or if you want a little more, inside foot on the inside knee. Tapping back into that breath. We use breath to mentally create space. Just picturing that muscle opening up. Really nice. One more breath. Good. Bring the knees back up. So we're going to bring feet about hip width apart here. Hands are nice and firm on the ground. And we're going to go ahead and inhale, press through the feet and the hands, lift up. And if it feels good, you can even rock forward and back a little bit. That helps massage the wrists and the ankles. Nice. And exhale brings it all back down. Good. So I'm going to bring my left foot in. Right foot is bent. Great. And I'm going to start a nice little twisting motion here. So I'm going to inhale, arms rise. Exhale, nice open twist to the left. Great. And then inhale, arms rise. And then I'm going to go in the other direction. And I'm going to lean a little bit into that hip. Good. So back and forth here. And put a little lean in on each side. We're again getting into the hips in just a different direction here. Great. Now the next time you are over that left knee, I want you to hang out there, and we're going to bring both hands out. And we're just going to start to press down into the hands. So you should have plenty of room for belly here. And I want you to see what it's like to pulse a little bit up and down. So we're starting to stretch a little bit in our obliques as we roll back and forth over that hip. Does that feel all right for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do this on the other side. So now we're going to bend the right knee, and the left knee is bent behind. Inhale to rise. Exhale, twist. Good. Following your breath as you just go back and forth, leaning a little bit each way. You'll notice you probably can't lean too far when you go over to the left. You can lean a lot farther when you go over to the right. And then we're going to hang out over on the right, bringing both hands past the body and starting to bend into the elbows, almost like that little chaturanga action here. Massaging the hip, stretching in the obliques, and you get a nice gentle stretch in the hip flexor on the other side. Beautiful. So from here, we're going to transition. Just bring your hands to your mat. We're going to come into our tabletop. If you'd like, you can place your blanket or towel underneath the knees for some extra support. Beautiful. Nice. And when you're ready to join me, we're going to do just a little bit of cat-cow. We've already done a lot, opening our spine. So I'm going to make sure that my knees are under hips, wrists are under shoulders. Inhale, I'm opening into my cow, but I am not arching the low back. I'm focused on the upper back. Exhale, that nice kitty cat. And I just want you to follow your breath here and move in a way that makes your spine happy. So it doesn't have to just be that flexion and extension. It can be side to side. It can be a little snake-like, wiggling those hips and the shoulders. Opening up in the neck. What feels good today? Good. And finding a point of stillness here. Nice neutral spine, looking down towards the mat. Neck is nice and long. And now we're going to just feel what it feels like to hug baby in. So on the next exhale, just hugging baby closer to you and feeling the whole core, low back, side waist, and belly start to hug in. Keeping that hug, we're going to go ahead and lift the right leg, flexing through the foot. That might feel like enough, but if you want to take it further, left arm's going to come out as well. Good. Just hugging, hugging. Deep inhale. And as you exhale, releasing that down, taking a nice cat pose to counter. And we'll take it to the other side. So nice neutral spine. We start and hug baby in, lifting through that left foot now. Nice and long, flexing through the foot. Good. And if you'd like to lift the right arm, go for it. Nice. Keeping that nice hug. Reaching one more deep breath. And exhale, releases, taking a nice cat. Moving around. Great, so we're gonna find that neutral spine again. Let's just give our shoulders a little bit of love here. As you're ready, you're gonna inhale, right arm high, gaze follows the thumb. Exhale, we're gonna thread the needle, bringing our right shoulder down to the mat. And then you can either leave your left hand right where it is, which can give you some stability. But if you're feeling stable and you want more of a stretch through the shoulders, you can reach that left arm long up to 12 o'clock and press through the palm. Same action as with down dog. One full breath here. Good. As you're ready, that left hand's going to come down. Press through the left palm as you lift the right arm high. And exhale to bring that hand down. Nice. We'll take it to the other side. So inhale, lift the left hand, gaze follows the thumb, and then we're going to thread that needle. Left shoulder comes all the way down to the mat, hanging out there, or you can bring that right arm overhead if that feels good. And the knees are nice and wide enough to support your growing bellies. One more deep breath. Great. Placing that right palm firmly on the ground, pressing through as you lift the left arm high, and exhaling to bring that hand right back down. Really nice. So we're going to find our first down dog. We're going to bring the palms a little farther forward. And go ahead and tuck your toes, lifting those hips high and starting to walk the dog out. So pedaling one foot and then the other. Making sure that your feet are at least hip distance. As you guys start to grow more, you'll probably want to take your feet wider. You can even take them wider than the mat if you want to. And I personally find that, especially with the hip stuff that you were mentioning, Michaela, sometimes taking the feet wider than the mat can help you get a little bit more depth in the hips here. So even if you don't need to do that because of your belly, you might want to do it because your hips might enjoy it more. Good. And then finding some stillness, we're going to go ahead and all bend our knees, press through the palms, and press the hips back as if you were being pulled back and up. So you should feel some more length in the spine here. If your shoulders are jutting forward, just coaching them back onto the ribs. And then keeping that nice long length in the spine, now start to lower the heels. Knees are still soft. They can be as bent as they need to be. Letting the head hang. One more breath. You guys are doing awesome. And then on your next inhale, using as many steps as you need, we're going to walk the right foot to the outside of the right hand and bring the left knee down. Great. Placing the left palm down on the mat, inhaling right arm high, another nice twist. You can leave the palm up or wrap that arm around the low back, opening through the shoulder. Great. Next inhale, if your arm is wrapped, unwrap. And exhale, we're going to bring that right hand to the right knee. Left hand is going to meet it. Just take a moment, make sure your balance is good. And if it is, you're going to inhale, arms rise. Now make sure that the hips drop. Low back is as neutral as possible. So we want just that natural curve in it. Next exhale, arms are going to come down, spin the thumbs back. And as long as that feels good, I want you to lean forward in those hips, starting to say hello to the hip flexors. And if you do want to arch, just take that arch in the chest, nice and open through the heart. It's a beautiful time of year to open our hearts as we see all the flowers growing around us. And especially today being Mother's Day, it's a wonderful day to let that heart be open. Next, inhale, arms rise. And exhale, palms are going to come back down to the mat. So we're going to do a little bit of lizard to open up those hips some more. But you don't need to go gangbusters on this. Lizard is already kind of an intense pose. I do recommend grabbing a block for this, unless you're super duper flexible. And you can place the block either on the small height or on the medium height. I'm going to do the medium height to start. So I'm going to make sure that that I scooch my foot in front forward a little bit because I never want my knee to be in front of my toes. And then I'm just going to bring my forearms down on my block. So I'm leaning forward in my hips here, and it's probably going to feel a little bit intense. And I really don't want you guys to try to force anything because gravity is going to do a lot for you. So I just want you to get to a point where you feel everything engage, and then let your head go. Let your shoulders go, and tap into your breath. This is one of those poses that I feel really mimics birthing a lot because it can be a really challenging pose. There can be a lot of sensation, but we can still choose to remain calm and grounded through it, using our breathing to help us. So deep breaths through the nose, and then exhaling through the mouth, soft open jaw. Soft jaw, soft cervix. And if as you're hanging out here, you're feeling the tissue stretch, you want to come down lower, you can lower the block. And for those of us who are super duper flexible, you can bring forearms all the way down to the mat. It's up to you. We're going to stay here for 2 more deep yoga breaths. Good. On your next inhale, really slowly rise, taking our time to get out of this. And I want you, if you have both blocks handy, go ahead and grab them. We're going to straighten that front leg and sit down onto the back heel. You may or may not want a blanket or a pillow underneath that your right butt cheek as well. It's totally up to you. Cool. Great. So we're going to sit up nice and tall here. And as we exhale, we're going to start to walk the blocks forward with us. I want to keep a nice straight back as I can. Good. Really flexing into that right foot. And then if you'd like to, you can go ahead and drop the head and the shoulders. One more breath. Good. Inhale, we're going to walk it up, walking those blocks back with us. Great. You can take the blocks aside. We're going to move forward, bending into that right leg again. Scooch that right foot so it's on the outside of your right hand, tucking the back toe, lifting the hips high, downward facing dog. We're going to take a few nice deep yoga breaths here. So in the nose, exhaling out a soft jaw. Checking in, is the head nice and loose? Are the hips nice and high? Can you let your thoughts just pour out of your head? So with the next inhale, we're going to look forward, stepping that left foot to the outside of the left hand and bringing the right knee down. Great. Right palm presses onto the mat as you inhale, left arm high, nice open twist. And as you are ready, you can bring that hand around the low back or leave it up. One more breath here. If your arm is wrapped, you're going to inhale it high, and then bringing the left hand down to the left knee. Right arm comes up to meet it. We just make sure that we're not dizzy at all. And then inhaling, arms up. You can lean forward in those hips. Nice, getting into the other hip flexor. So on your next exhale, go ahead and let the arms come down. Hands are spinning out so the thumbs are facing back, nice and open in the chest. Low back is still neutral, so if you feel like you're really arched, just think about letting those hips drop some more. Good, one more breath here. And then inhale, arms rise. And exhale, the hands are going to come on the inside of that left foot. This is where you want to grab your block again for lizard on the other side. So I'm scooching my heel a little forward just so that when I come down into my lizard, my knee's not too far forward. And I'm going to bring my forearms down to the block. And then I'm only coming so forward that I just feel this stretch engage. I'm not pushing to my edge here. It's always this fine balance in pregnancy, especially with our hips. We have that extra relaxin hormone in our system, so it's easier for us to overstretch. And at the same time, our muscles then tighten everything up because our ligaments have all this extra laxicity. So we have to play this game of, I need to stretch you out, and I don't want to stretch you out too much. So get rid of the idea of getting to your edge and know that a little goes a long way. Letting the head and the shoulders be heavy. And noticing that as you're starting to open up, you may want to come down either to a lower block or right to the mat. And also getting rid of the idea that we're symmetrical. So you may have needed the block more on one side than the other, and that is okay and normal. One more breath. Good. Now using your hands to really help lift you up here. We're going to straighten that front leg, sitting back down onto the right heel and bringing those two blocks along for the ride here. That just helps us have a longer spine by using the blocks. Nice, good. So we're going to inhale, spine nice and tall, pressing into your blocks. And then as you exhale, you can walk those blocks forward with you. Trying to keep that back nice and straight, hinging at the hips. Flexing through the left foot. Reaching out through the crown of the head so your gaze should be towards your mat. And then if it feels good, you can go ahead and let the head and the shoulders release down as you breathe into the back of that left leg. Good, one more breath. Great, as you inhale, you can press into the blocks to help lift you back up. And then we're gonna place the blocks aside. We're gonna bend into that front knee. Tucking the back toes, take as many steps as you need to walk that back foot to meet the front foot. Feet are at least hip width apart, but can be wider. And forward fold. Taking your favorite forward fold position. I love grabbing my elbows. But you can put your hands wherever they're comfy here. Knees are nice and soft. Letting all those thoughts pour out the top of your head. Good. I'd like you to bring your hands to your shins, and as you inhale, bring the shoulders onto the back and lengthen the back, nice flat back. Exhale, fold. Now bend the knees a little bit more, hug baby in, and as you inhale, pressing through the feet, flat back, rise, arms are out. Oh, and exhale, hands to heart center. Go ahead and take a hand to your heart and hand to baby. And now release through your legs and hips. Release in the belly. Let the weight of your bones support you. Taking this as a moment to check back in. Check with baby. Check in with yourself. Come back to your intention. Great. Next inhale, eyes will open and hands come down. We're going to go ahead and remove that blanket or or towel if you had it on the floor. And I want you to come so that you're on the wide part of your mat here. We're going to bring the legs nice and wide now. Excuse me. And we're going to inhale, open up, 5-pointed star. Now bring your heels in just a smidge so that when you exhale, you can come down nice into goddess, bending the knees, bending the elbows. We're going to move here with our breath. So inhaling, 5-pointed star. Coming down, goddess. Keep following your pace. And especially when you're in goddess, think again about hugging baby in. Good. And perhaps you'd like to bring in some pelvic floor action in here. So I inhale, I release everything. I exhale, I'm going to hug in baby and hug in my pelvic floor. So imagining that pelvic floor is rising up. And then inhale, it goes back down, releases. Good. Especially when we're working our hips, it's important to not just stretch them out, but also to strengthen. That really helps with that balance of we don't want to overstretch, but we do want to loosen up. Now the next time you come down into goddess, wrap the right arm underneath the left. We're going to stay in our goddess and we're going to start to sway. And if you want to feel this more in the shoulders, just let the arms start to rise up. Good. Giving our baby a nice little ride. Next inhale, straighten the legs, straighten the arms, open up. Exhale, goddess, left elbow goes under, right eagle arms, and we sway. Despite this being eagle arms, I always feel like an elephant when I'm in this position. I have a big trunk swinging in front of me. Good, one more breath. Next inhale, open up, 5-pointed star. Now parallel those feet. Exhale, coming down with a flat back. Find a nice wide leg forward fold and hang. Good, you can wiggle that neck out, wiggle the shoulders out. Now on your right foot, just go ahead and point those right toes. And as we exhale, we're just gonna start to bend into that right side. Inhale up through center, now point through the left toes as we come down to the other side. So you can keep your feet in this position where your heels are in a little bit. We're just gonna breathe side to side using those hands for support. Good. So I'm gonna give you guys an advanced option here. If you want, you can come down to one side and you can curl the other foot up. So this is like your half squat here. Good. And since you're both taking that option, I'm gonna have you take your left foot and just point and flex a few times so we can get into some of the fibers in the shin and the calves. Nice. Next inhale, we're gonna take that to the other side. Exhaling over to the other side and taking that point and flex again. Good. Next time that foot comes down, coming back into your forward fold, bending the knees, getting the elbows to the knees to start, just making sure your balance is good. And then press through the feet as you inhale, flat back, arms come up. And we're going to take this into our squats. So your heels should still be in a little bit. As you exhale, hands are going to come through center. Inhaling to rise. Great. So we're going to take a few of these. And I'd love for you to think about doing those pelvic floor contractions again. So on the exhale, I'm going to hug in my pelvic floor. Inhale, let it go. Hugging in, riding that elevator all the way up. And letting go. Good. 2 more. Nice. Next time you're up, hand to the heart, hand to baby. We're going to take a pause. Eyes can close. Just feeling the pulse start to settle. And then next inhale, eyes will open. We're going to take it to the other direction. So this time we're going to inhale, arms are open. As we exhale, we squat. And now we're going to inhale, bring the palms together as you rise. Good. Exhale, arms are open. So your choice with the pelvic floor, you can either continue with tightening the pelvic floor on the exhales, or you can choose to reverse and do it on the inhales. There's no right or wrong with that. They're both used for different purposes. 2 more. Last one. Good. Now parallel the feet. And I want you guys to find a block. Take as many steps as you need to bring yourself down into a yogic squat that's supported on the block. Great. So once you're down here, hands in Anjali Mudra prayer position, we're going to bring the elbows on the inside of the knees. Shoulders come down the back, hips are heavy, nice long in the low back. If you can let your eyes close, great. And we're just going to do a few more of our pelvic floor exercises with intention. So this time we're going to pull the pelvic floor in on the inhales, and we're going to let it go on the exhales. This is what I find was the most beneficial for me during birthing time. So as we inhale, we're going to tighten that pelvic floor as if you're stopping yourself from urinating, maybe feeling the multiple layers of the pelvic floor up through the uterus like an elevator. And then exhale as we ride that elevator back down all the way to the basement. We release completely. Keep following your breath. The inhales, that elevator rises up. And the exhales, it lowers back down. This is a nice way to coach your pelvic floor to help release on the exhales, which during birthing is when we're pushing. But it's nice to practice both ways because then postpartum, it's better to teach ourselves to contract our pelvic floor on the exhales. That prevents things like peeing when you sneeze. Good, one more. Wonderful, okay. So if you have a wall that you are near, we're going to do some legs up the wall because it's such a yummy treat, especially for Mother's Day. And if you don't, so Lauren, you don't need to go crazy. You can also use a block and do what we've done in the past where we bring our feet up supported by a block.
Okay.
So totally up to you. Since you guys are still on the smaller side with your belly, you can choose to put your hips on a pillow or even a block. But as you get bigger, that might be uncomfortable for you. So I'm going to demonstrate it by putting my hips up on a pillow. So I'm going to come all the way up onto my pillow. If you're using a block, you'd come up onto your block so that my hip is right against the wall. And then I rainbow my arm and my leg up. So starting with my hip right next to the wall is the best way to make sure that when you're up here, your bum is as close to the wall as possible. So I'm going to give you guys a minute, but also please speak up if you need help getting into this position.
There we go. I can go this way.
Great. So this is one of those poses that you can take at any point of the day. It is especially nice right before bed, or if you wake up in the middle of the night and your thoughts are not letting you fall back asleep. So once you do find this position, see if you can let your head go, your face go, your shoulders and your upper body release completely. And then the benefits of these inversions are they really help take the weight off of your legs and the weight of baby off of your hips. So especially as baby starts to grow and your hips start to take on more weight, coming into these inversions just once a day or a few times a day can really help with hip and low back discomfort, because it gives it a break from having to hold the weight of baby and the placenta up that whole time. If at any point you feel dizzy or nauseous, then please do come out of this. But it is generally safe through all phases of pregnancy. So you can leave your legs just straight up, or if you feel like you still need a little bit more movement, you're welcome to start to let the legs slide open on the wall into a nice wide-legged position. This is helpful too if you feel like your adductors, the muscles on the inner thighs, feel tight today. If you don't quite have the room at home, you can also bring the soles of your feet together. So knees are wide, so you're still getting that nice adductor opening. Just letting yourself settle down here. If you have taken an alternate pose, then I'm going to invite you for a few moments to bring the legs back up straight, just so we can reset the hips and the spine. So I know in a yoga practice, we're kind of constrained by the limits of time, but when you're doing this on your own, definitely feel free to hang out in this pose for as long as you want to. It's such a yummy one. It has so much going on that's beneficial for the body. But for now, we're going to slide the feet down the wall. Knees can be wide to give plenty of room for baby. And just hugging those knees in for a moment. Rocking a little side to side. And then you can roll over to one side, just being careful not to totally fall off of what you're on, even though you are going to roll off of it. And from here, you're welcome to take any additional poses or postures that you need before Shavasana. I'm going to go ahead and get set up for Shavasana. And I'm going to do it today in a modified supine. So you can be on your side. For this one, I'm going to show you a safe way in pregnancy where you can actually still lie on your back. So I've got my yoga block, and I have mine at my medium height, but you're welcome to put it at whichever height you prefer. And then I'm placing my bolster or my thick pillow over it. So it's the block is right at the top of the pillow. I have another bolster, but you can use a pillow, a rolled up blanket or towel, and I'm going to place that underneath my knees for some support. And I am super chilly in here today, so I'm going to take a nice blanket over me. That's just an optional for you. I'm going to make sure that my back is nicely supported. So So I want my sacrum to be right at the base of the pillow. You may or may not want another pillow underneath your head, totally up to you. The point is just get cozy. You want all of your muscles to be able to release in Shavasana. Good. So finding all the props you need, making all those little micro adjustments until you feel really cozy and supported. And once you've found your resting place, really giving yourself permission to just drop in. Imagine that the full weight of the body releases down into your props, into your mat, into the ground. And for today's Shavasana, we'll do a little light-based meditation. So I want you to imagine that your body is surrounded by light. And you can choose if the light has a color. You can choose if the light is bright or dim, opaque, transparent. And I want you to imagine that light entering from the crown of your head, filling your skull, filling your eye sockets as your eyes release. Filling the muscles of your face, your jaw, the back of the head. Letting that light pour down the neck and the throat, releasing the muscles as it goes. Light is softening in the collarbone as it pours through the shoulders and down the arms, all the way out the fingertips. Letting that light pour down the spine, filling the chest, filling the upper back, releasing through the solar plexus, the sternum and the mid-back and the ribs. Letting that light fill the abdomen, surrounding baby with sweet light. Releasing the low back. Letting that light pour down through the hips and the pelvis. Down through the legs. Down through the shins. Down through the feet and out the toes. Letting yourself be fully bathed in this healing light. knowing that you are supported, that your baby is supported, and you both can be beautifully held here in relaxation. Beginning to deepen the breath, filling your body again with those nice deep inhales and nice relaxed exhales. As you feel baby rising and falling with the tides of breath. You can begin to wake up the body by wiggling the fingers and the toes, the wrists and the ankles. Maybe enjoying a full body stretch. And really taking your time now as you come into your seat. So maybe rolling to a side and taking a moment to breathe. Making sure you use your hands to help support you on the way up. And when you do come up, trying to keep your gaze soft or your eyes closed. If you're able to, propping hips back up on something, but if that's gonna mess with your nice chill flow, don't worry about it. And once you find your seat, bring a hand back to the heart and a hand back to baby, back to that home base. Feeling that connection once more. Knowing that this time for you to connect with your body and to relax your mind and emotions has such a wonderful positive impact on your baby growing inside. And perhaps taking a moment to feel what it's like to be a mother today, what that means to you. As complex and as beautiful as it is. And then finally coming back to your intention. What would you like to take with you today? And if there's anything else to let go of, we'll take a final breath together to let go. So as you're ready, you'll inhale fully. Exhale, let go. We'll bring hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Thumbs graze the sternum. We lightly bow the head. And we give thanks to ourselves for taking this time to honor our body, to care for our mind, care for ourselves, and to honor the beginning of our motherhood. By taking this time to care for ourselves, we may be more caring and loving for those in our lives. We thank our baby for practicing with us. And lifting the gaze, we thank each other with a namaste. Namaste.